Welcome to Love&I, the show that talks about real life experiences on dating, relationship, marriage, sex. And today I'm wearing glasses, as you see, because I got a bad case of makeup allergy.
I don't know what the hell that means, but
I
okay.
cannot wear mascara or eyeliner, so I needed something around my eyes, so I didn't go completely face naked.
Okay, well, we had to scrounge the house to find you a pair of
I
glasses.
know. I'm glad that you found a pair that I can actually see with.
Uh-huh.
And I can actually see my notes, so I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Well, while we've been talking, I realized I bite my bottom lip a lot, so I'm going to try and axe that. I don't know. I just felt myself.
What did you want to say?
I don't know, it just hit my mind. But we have had a few people reach out and ask some questions. They were interested in hearing our points of views on certain things. So we have a list of questions that we have written down to provide our opinion.
Yes, our non-expert opinion.
Yeah, non-expert opinion is true.
So we've been talking about dating apps, meeting people, dates, do's and don'ts, red flags, green flags. And that's all our personal opinion. So it's from our experiences, how we view it. But it's also based on how we view good relationships, right? Good marriages. How we show our values in a way on what we appreciate and seek in a good, healthy relationship. So from our perspective, we put together a list of questions because sometimes you kind of have to separate the online advice and then real life. Sometimes it's not the same. A lot of people want to be coaches, but then when it comes to real life, you're dealing with things that with certain behaviors that people are not fully aware of what they're doing. They may not be intentionally making these mistakes, right? So there are questions that will come up that I would like to answer from our own perspective and what we have lived through and how we see it, and hopefully it helps everyone.
Yeah, and unfortunately nowadays a lot of people focus on the negative, and that's what we primarily focus on is, some of the negatives. But we also try and bring up the positives as well. So, that's not the sexy part of this, frankly. No one's going to want to listen. Oh, my marriage is great, and my relationship's great. Nobody wants. People listen to this stuff because they can relate, because relationships are difficult and it's hard to find the right one.
And even if you find the right one, it's hard to keep the right one.
Yeah.
Because we are not fully aware of who we are and what we do, and we're not, in touch with ourselves and where our issues come from and our past traumas, everything that we would know if we had done some work on ourselves. And then in the end, we're left with regret, and we're left with, I wish I could have done this better, or I wish I could have said that instead of this. And sometimes it helps to understand the other person's perspective, where they're coming from, not just how they're making us feel, but what are they going through that they're acting this way.
Yeah.
And we fail to do that because we're humans, we're selfish. We care about what we want.
And it's difficult putting yourself in another person's shoes. So, like, for example, I'm obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I'm a guy. And
I'm glad that that's obvious.
And you're a woman. And so, you could tell me everything you've been through in your life, but because I didn't experience it, I'm not going to know what it's like in your shoes. So, we talk about trying to see it from the other person's perspective, but we'll never fully grasp what that perspective is, because I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I know.
Right. And we don't know what it takes to be a man. And women tend to listen to a lot of videos, a lot of coaches that talk about what men need, how men think. But it's not all men are the same, right?
It's true.
And not all women are the same. So, because wherever we come from, our backgrounds, our experiences, our families, our values, our religion are so different that we cannot say that all men want the same thing and all men will act the same way, because then it would have been very easy. We would just leave one relationship and would go to the next one and find the exact same thing, right? Without any changes.
But there are, I mean, frankly, there are some generalities when it comes to men and women that are quite common across the board. So it is helpful listening to some of this stuff. But like you said, it's to me, it's not so much the big things. You know, a lot of the big things are quite common. Like guys like to have sex.
Women like to have sex.
Yes. And that's the thing is, you know, these things there's these things across the board, but it's these little things like, you know, people like to wash their clothes a certain way, or people like sleeping in a certain side of the bed. It's the little things.
The personal preferences.
Yeah, that's what you fall in love with, not so much the big things.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Because
you fall in love with how somebody washes their clothes?
Well, I mean, that's just an example. You know, if you... so I'm trying to think of a good one. So like for me, I like to cuddle. So when I'm in bed, I like to cuddle. And so if I was with someone that liked their space, that wouldn't work for me. So I fell in love with someone that enjoys cuddling and the touch and stuff like that.
But that's a big thing. Because it's how you express emotions and how you want to feel, and that's intimacy.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a big thing. It wouldn't be the same as if they snore at night or not, right?
Yeah.
Would you fall in love with somebody with the way they snore?
I wouldn't care so much about that.
Okay.
That doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah, so those are the big things. Intimacy, the way you express love, the way you interact with each other, values. I would say the values are a big thing.
Yeah.
But let's get to the questions. Let's see what we can cover today. We can go on and on about everything that we think, but let's see if we can do this right. So question number 1 to you, Curtis.
Hello.
What was something a woman said, somebody you dated, I'm not going to say, do not include your wife in this, because we would like to continue this show for a lot longer. What was something a woman said or did that was major turnoff for you? Like a major turnoff.
So there's a few, but I guess the one that stands out the most, what's the best way to put this? So I had been seeing this person for a little bit, and I had made it clear that, you know, I wasn't interested in seeing. Okay, all right, here we go. Now let me just.
All right, let's get real.
This woman wanted to watch porn to like get into the mood.
She did.
Yes.
Okay.
And that just didn't. I don't know what it is. It doesn't. I know some people that does it for them, but for me, it's just weird. Like you're watching two other people getting it on or whatever, and finally I relented. I was like, okay, fine, let's do it. And we watched it, and it did nothing for me. It made it incredibly uncomfortable, and I was just like, look, I can't do this. And I know that's a very niche example, but something about that whole experience of me being like, no, and finally relenting, and then it turning out to be exactly what I expected it to be. I was just like, I was not. It was awkward because, I mean, typically in porn, they're very vocal. So we're listening to these two people just like, get it on. And it's just, I didn't know what.
So, wait, she wanted, like, every single time that you guys had sex, she had to watch porn?
Not every time. Like, we had never watched porn before this specific time. And every time we were able to do it without watching porn. So, I didn't know what was that. I didn't know if I was supposed to like touch her, touch my I didn't. It just put me in a very uncomfortable spot. And then at one point I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. So I mean, we eventually just turned it off. But I mean that.
So that was a turn off. That was something that. Did you get turned on though? Or was it?
I was just so uncomfortable because. I don't know if this plays into it at all, but she had like followed a specific porn star.
No.
And it was like amateur kind of stuff. And it just, So I was just like, okay, this is it. Just the whole situation. I was just like, I
Yeah.
can't do
It
this.
was too weird, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably had some
It was
too.
like she was fulfilling a fantasy. She was probably thinking maybe she had something, like a crush or something on
It
a
was a
porn
woman that
star.
she was following.
Oh, it was a
It was
woman.
not a guy. It was a woman.
Like a wannabe kind of thing. I wish
This
I
is this is
was
gonna
a
be.
cool kid.
This is a
When
little.
I grow up, I want to be just like her
This
and
is a
do
little
just like her.
extreme, but she liked the way that this woman sucked dick.
Oh, was she trying to learn?
I think that's what it was.
Ah, she was trying to get better at it.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
just talking
okay.
about this now,
But
I
that
hate
is
it.
so.
I don't enjoy this
It
at
can
all.
get any realer, but
Yeah.
I bet it was so awkward for you to be there, knowing all this, and you're just there
Have
for
you had
her
it?
to get her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's like. I don't know. It just that one stands out to me because it's just very. Because typical, like guys watch porn, like it's a very typical thing. So I don't know why it just completely took me out of the zone. Maybe it was like a psychological thing, and I was just so used to watching it by myself. That's a private moment. It's kind of like an invasion of my. I don't know. It just did not do it for me at
Did you
all.
continue to see her, or it was
Yeah, we
yeah,
saw each other for like another month or so,
yeah,
but yeah,
that was a die down.
that was the last time we did that. It didn't happen again.
Makes sense.
How about you? Did you ever have anything that was a major turnoff?
Um, in sex or in general?
It could be sex or in general.
Um,
Anything that stands out.
yes. Major turn off for me was a guy that told me I was more sexual than he was, and he did not believe that sex was important in the relationship. And I didn't understand that very well.
What he said that it was a. He's. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Yes, he said you are more sexual than I am. I had a higher sexual drive than he did, and I think I have a very normal to low type of sex drive. But to him,
Why is that a
it
turnoff?
was a major turn. Well, it's a turn off when you know that the person that you're with, they don't see sex as an important part of the relationship. So you never know if you should ever make a move or something, because then as a woman you feel like you're being the freak, you're being the
Oh,
weirdo.
please! I don't want to hear that. Guys have to make moves all the time and get denied.
Yeah, but that's different because like for guys it's like normal. They're the ones that have the higher sex drive, right?
Boo.
What do you mean boo?
So it's okay for guys to be constantly rejected, but by God, if it happens to you, it's just like.
Because guys will try no matter what at every second of the day. Women, they don't think about sex every second of the day. So when a woman wants to have sex and you're like, no, you have a higher sexual drive than me, it just makes us feel weird. It just makes us feel like there's something wrong with us.
Okay, I guess.
And
I
that
can see
doesn't turn me on. That doesn't make me want to, do anything with you. Or even when you want to, I'm like, why does that have to be on your terms?
So how are you supposed to mutually agree to when you're going to have sex then?
Nobody says shit like that. That's how you mutually agree. You don't tell a woman that when she wants to have sex with you, you're like, no, I don't. I think that you have a higher sexual drive than I do.
That is a weird way to bring it up.
And it's a very, very good way to completely turn a woman off.
Would it have been better if he said, no, thank you?
No. Thank you. No, thank you.
Like, what would have been the best way for him to be like, no, I don't want to have sex with you right now?
I'm not in a mood right now.
Okay, that would be like the appropriate way to like.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he wasn't in a mood, then he wasn't in a mood. We say that all the time, right? We have headaches, other things going on.
Yeah.
Like our friend's plan died,
You just laugh in the
We're just
person's
feeling-
face.
Oh my God, yes. Yes, we do. We do. But that's because they're trying to have sex while they're saying stupid shit that you're continuously playing in your head, and you have to laugh. Yeah, definitely.
I guess.
We're not laughing. I mean, I don't laugh at a guy, but like if I think of something that is hilarious, then yeah.
Okay.
Probably spit too, so.
Whatever. I think it's a little unfair that, I think there is it's a double-edged sword when women say, "Well, I don't want to ask for it because if I get rejected, it's just like you." But if guys ask for it, and we're rebuffed, we're supposed to just like keep asking over and over.
But why would a guy keep asking over and over?
I
Like
don't
if
mean
you get
I
like
don't mean like the same night, but like over maybe the same night. But
okay, I want to try it in half hour.
yeah,
See if she changed her mind.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I just don't like the word ask. Ask for it, right? Like I don't think it's an ask. I think it's a desire. It's a form of expression. It's you just don't talk about that.
I guess going off of that, one for me at least, one thing that kind of killed the feelings I had for someone was, there was a period of time with this one girl where she just didn't want to have sex, and so it got to the point to where it had been a few weeks, and so I started saying like, "Hey, what's going on?
Right.
This what's going on?" Like I had no idea, so I started like asking these
Knock,
questions.
knock. Are you alive?
Yeah, and so I started asking these questions. It just always led to an argument, and then for me, it was just I stopped feeling the same way for someone when the communications cut off. Because part of being in a relationship is having difficult conversations, and part of being in a relationship is the sex part of it.
Right.
So when there wasn't no conversation, the sex wasn't involved, I wasn't being told what was going on, it just killed how I felt for the person because, I need someone that's able to communicate with me. And once
Right.
someone starts communicating, I'm just like, I'm not interested in this anymore.
No, makes sense. Um, I would say it's a little different for women because we are, like you said, we're on the side that, we tend to say no more often. And that's especially like if we're in our feelings or if we're mad at you. And that's usually like number one reason. If we're upset and we haven't communicated why we're upset with you, and they say don't take it personal, it's not you, it's you. It's definitely you. If I don't want to have sex with you, it's because I am really mad at you. You did something that you probably didn't think there was anything major, and because of our relationship, I didn't bring it up because you would consider it like very minimal, but I held it in and it stayed with me, and then that's a passive aggressive way of showing you that, I'm going to pay you back in a way. That's why women use sex as a weapon.
I see.
Which I totally don't believe in it. It's like the worst thing to do. But it's because women are emotional, right? And sex is emotional expression for them as well. So it's a little more intimate than it is for men. Men can have sex without being like fully intimate, connected. Like we have gone through that before. Like they could have had a hard day, they're stressed, they see it as, like a way to channel that, or it's like a jog, right? Is it? Like going for a run? When you're stressed to get out of your head?
Are you equating jogging to sex?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't ever just go and jog when I'm feeling upset. No. So
how do you channel it when you're feeling upset or stressed?
When
you have a lot on your mind and you're just heavy, how do you channel that energy?
This is gonna sound crazy, but I don't know what it's like being like that. I don't really get stressed at all.
Okay, you're freaking me out right now.
I'm trying to think of the last time where I just was stressed and all I did was just like take care of the issue and that was it. Like it wasn't, I can't think of the last time where I was stressed and how I got rid of it. So, I mean.
You're freaking kidding me? You never feel way down? Heavy?
I just have this.
Like overwhelmed? Anything? Work? Like, do you ever.
I mean,
I've never heard you complain about your job, by the way.
I'm busy, but I mean, me getting stressed is that I just write down a list and then I'm good. Like I realize I'm only one person and I can't like conquer the world by myself, so I'll get done what I get done,
But
and
when you have a lot of things to do and you're just not able to get to everything, does that get overwhelming?
I'll just stay later.
Okay, if a friend or a family member is going through something, do you feel that?
That's another one of my problems. Is I don't feel as much as other people do. It has been a point of contention in my past. I just have this mindset that being stressed, like no matter what's going on, just I don't know what it does for you. Like I don't.
It doesn't do anything for you. Nothing good, anyway.
And so I think about the point to where I am overly reasonable and overly logical that I'm like, if something comes up, it just, okay, I'll add this to my list. Or, oh, this plane's going down. Me stressing about it's not going to really do much right now. I'm going to die anyway. So I don't know, just getting back to like the sex part of it, I never use it as a method of relaxing. It's always I want to have sex. You're hot. Let's do this. I mean, I don't know. I
I
have
envy
this
you.
emotional
I envy
connection.
you. I envy you.
Do a lot of people use sex as a way to like,
I
I'm
don't
stressed.
know.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I mean, I don't use it as a way to release stress, but it does. It does. It does that. Like if you have sex when you're stressed, then it helps
Yeah.
with stress. Which I have it the same as running. Like if I go out for a run, I get out of my head completely, and I get those endorphins, and I feel much lighter, and my head doesn't feel like I have to think of 1,000 things in a minute. But a lot of people do, or if they have hard time sleeping.
They have sex.
Guys masturbate before they sleep, right?
I, I can't do that. If I were to masturbate before I sleep, I'm going to be up another hour.
Really?
I can't.
I thought that's what guys do to go to bed.
Maybe some guys, but it gives me a rush. I can't fall asleep if I do that. If I have sex, sure. Masturbate, no.
But why is it different?
Hell if I know. I think it's because I guess for the most part, women just lay there, so I have to do all the work.
Oh my god!
So that might be part of it.
So see, you're working out your body.
Sure.
So and then you're going to sleep. So that is a way of channeling your energy, working out, just the same as a run or a workout, and then you sleep.
But I don't look at it as a workout.
You just said you do all the work.
Sure, but I don't look at it. I don't go in it with the mindset of.
You do burn a lot of calories that way, though.
Unless you're quick.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah. All right, cool. Let's move to the next one.
Okay.
That was hilarious. Okay. Okay. How about one thing that a woman or women did that blah, blah, blah.
What the hell?
I can't speak. One thing they did that killed your feelings for them.
I think I already said that on the communication part.
Well, not the turn off part, but like killed your feelings. Like let's say you were in love with somebody and they do something that like you're this is not something I'm gonna get past it. Like it's more on the like hurtful way that it really killed your feelings for them. Like you could not look at them the same way anymore.
I mean, I go back to that one where she wasn't communicating why she wasn't having sex. It was the communication part of it. I mean, that's what killed it for me. I mean, that one will probably always stand out to me as like the one that just kind of killed it for me.
Got it. What's the third one? Okay. I think these are related. What would be your fuck this moment in a marriage?
So I have not been divorced. So I don't know if I really have a fuck this in a marriage. Maybe this is a question for you.
I mean, all of these questions can be for me and you.
But specifically, I mean, I can answer it in the context of relationships. When it comes to marriage,
for marriage, for me, it was not being present, not spending time together, not spending time with family. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I could not understand how you can be married, but at the same time you miss your husband, and they're not deployed or anything. It's not like you can't see them due to some, reasons that you have agreed upon. But they're just not present. They're either not present physically or they're not present emotionally. They're not present in the household as a whole, when it comes to decision making, child's needs. That's a fuck this moment.
So if they're just not being attentive to your needs.
Do you think? I mean, are those my needs or it's family needs? Because a lot of people see it, and we go into guys, men believe that if they're providers, they're doing their job. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? And they limit the word provider to income. But I think provider is so much bigger than that. You provide emotional safety, you provide care, you provide protection, you provide stability, you provide your opinion, your strength, your emotional support. That's the whole part of providing, just like women can provide in different ways, right? And I didn't have those. So were those my needs or the marriage needs? Because sometimes our needs and the relationship needs are too different, because we can be a little selfish on what we need.
Okay, so you said something, and we have talked about this off air before, and you have briefly touched on it, and I think it'd be good to rekindle it. You said what guys provide, and then you as a woman, like what you provide. So what do women provide in relationships? So men, quote unquote, the money part. Like what do women provide to the relationship?
And again, I'm going to say that men should not limit themselves to
100%,
the income,
100%,
okay? Because that's when it
100%.
goes off. Because when they meet a woman that she is able to provide or to help the income, the household income, then they feel less than.
Well, what I'm saying is there is this sentiment among some guys where they're like, "What do women bring to this? Like, what do women?
Oh,
bring
what
to
do
the
women bring to
relationship?"
the table?
Yeah.
Are we doing that? Okay, well, personally, I think, should I talk personally? Most women that I know. All right. So women are nurturers, right? Just like men are providers. They take care of people. They're created to maintain a social harmony. Women maintain families. If you pay attention, especially where I come from, in my culture, women are the ones that get along with, I would say, 2 to 3 generational connections. Let's say first cousins, second cousins, her husband's first cousins. They remember birthdays. They remember, they make sure that everybody goes to somebody's house if somebody's getting married, or if somebody had a death in the family, or if there's a birthday. They make sure that they hold these connections intact. They hold this social, the glue. They're good at connecting with other women. If you see most of the couples, when a guy gets married, does he spend more time with his wife's family or with his own?
His own?
Really?
I mean, in my experience, but I could be wrong. Well, no, I can't say that. I guess it's about 50-50 from what I've seen.
Okay. If you had, both your families were here right now, and you have a child, you would spend a lot more time with her family, a lot more gatherings from her side than your side.
Probably, yeah.
That's because she's the one that initiates those gatherings. She's the one that accepts your mother. She's the one that accepts your brother's wife, etc., etc. She creates that home for everyone. If your wife didn't get along with your mother, I guarantee you that you would not see your mother as much, or you would have a fight with your wife.
Yeah.
Or if she didn't get along with your brother's wife, it was going to be tough on your relationship to maintain it. So good women, and I'm not saying all women, right? Good women that value family and value their role, that is what they do. They make sure that everybody at home is content, is well taken care of, children are raised right, father is respected. Um, and of course, you have these other things, cook, clean. Everybody can cook and clean these days. It's not like, oh my God, I can cook. I'm the best. If you have an Instant Pot, you got your problem solved. Um, and at the same time, the best thing that a woman does, she provides the support and the encouragement to her husband to succeed, to reach his goals, by clearing the rocks out of his path. That's what a woman does. That's why if you see successful men, they have a woman by their side that she's not like the front of, the light. She's behind him, but it's not that she's less smart. It's not that she's less intellectual. She could have been a lot better at what he's doing, let's say politics or business. She has all those tools, but she doesn't use it to go out there and achieve that kind of success. She uses it to support her husband when he needs somebody he talks to. Should I go in this direction? Should I go in that direction? Do you think this friend is good for me? Because women have an intuition. They see a friend of yours or a potential business partner and they go, I don't know about him. Because they look out for you. And they have that kind of intuition to read people and see that something may or may not work out for you. And if you have a good relationship with your wife, then you're going to make the best decision, not just for you, but for the whole family, because she's supporting you on what is best for you. She understands you. She knows your goals. She takes care of things so you don't have to worry about it while you're reaching your goal. And that's what a woman provides. She's your biggest cheerleader. She's your supporter. She makes sure that everything that you worked for, it's working.
And I agree. And this is probably one of the more controversial things I'll say. But to me, I feel like a woman in a man's life, part of what they're doing is making that guy better. So like a lot of my positive traits were because, people I've dated in the past said, hey, clean up after yourself, or cook this way, or clean laundry this way, or, I was molded because women, one, are smarter, and two, I realized that they had more knowledge on certain things.
Yeah.
So I listened to them. So, all of that stuff I agree, like the support, making men better, the social part of it. 100%.
Yeah, it's not like women are like, women don't just work. Like, you can't say she's not smart enough because she doesn't have a successful career. You can't say that. She can be super smart, but she chooses not to put that into her personal career, but she chooses to focus on her family and be super sharp for her partner on what he needs to do to be better.
And that's why it's important to not just marry someone because of their looks. You have to find someone long term that, once you get past the looks part, someone that can still support you and help you and, to the extent you want to have it, someone that's going to be good with the kids. I don't have kids yet, but if I were to have a wife that didn't treat the kids well or didn't raise them well, overspoiled the kids or didn't know how to properly raise. Part of me looking for a spouse was trying to find someone that could help raise the kids because part of how I grew was because I had I wouldn't call parents that, put me in my place. And so, that was part of what I was looking for. So if I had a wife that never disciplined the kids or just let the kids run wild, like that would drive me crazy. I couldn't do it.
Of course.
Not at all.
Because that would stress you.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those stresses that you haven't felt yet.
And I'm assuming, like, as a mom, like, one thing you would want from the guy, like you were saying earlier, is being present, being part of raising the kid.
Because we need direction. While you need support, we need direction. We need to understand that what we're doing here, we're doing something together. That I need my husband to let me know what I need to do. Not what I need to do, but in a way, if I don't know if my child should go to this school or that school, I would love to discuss that with my husband. There are a lot of women that just make those decisions on their own, right? They say, I'm the mom, I know exactly where my kid will go to school. I know they'll go to private school. They'll do this sport, that. I would love to discuss that with my partner because we both know our kid. I mean, if we want our kid to be a soccer player and he sucks at soccer, right? Why should I push him in that direction? If my husband says, I don't know, Lori, I just really think, I think he's better at swimming. Why get him over there? Like, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Or this is too expensive. Right now, our goals is to be doing this, and that. So if we pay for whatever his sport for the next 2-3 years is just gonna derail us from the goal, right? So those are things that you discuss and you have your partner present.
And, part of why you want that is, a lot of times men start feeling neglected once you have this baby.
Oh, I was just gonna get to the next question.
Well, if you
did you read it already?
If you have been paying attention, I am expertly weaving these questions into our conversation.
I know, I see it. But we have to make sure that we are talking because these are questions that we want to answer and kind of like helps let them know that we got to it, we didn't ignore it.
Hey, that's why I'm trying to weave these in expertly. Hey, I'm an expert podcaster.
See?
So
men do have a purpose.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, but, a lot of men feel neglected when they have these babies because obviously your wife, now the mother, has other responsibilities, the kid.
Yeah.
So if the mom starts making all the decisions and all the we have to treat our kid this way, we have to discipline the kid this way without any kind of conversation, the men are just like, okay, so I put a baby in you, and now
now you're taking over and you're running with it.
Yeah, we're having less sex. I'm not seeing you as much. Like, what have I done? Why did I have this kid? And I don't have a kid, but sometimes I wonder, does that lead into maybe the father being resentful of the kid because it's just like, well, before you were here, I was able to spend more time with your mom. And you did more.
Before you were here, I was the baby.
Yeah,
I've seen that. I've seen that in couples. So statistics say that most divorces happen within the first year of the firstborn. That's when the stress is at the highest and the dynamic of the relationship shifts completely. But I would say is because nobody's prepared for those changes. Because if you haven't experienced it, then it's like everything new. If you're used to working in the office and then shit hits the fan and then now you have to work in construction, right? You're like, oh my God, like my body can't take it, my mind, I can't do this. This is not something I have any experience on. It's so hard on me. I come home and I'm exhausted. I can't do the same things that I used to do. It's a shock, right, to your mind and your body. And it's the same thing with the baby because your sleep schedule is completely off. You have to go without sleep for a few days. You can have like an hour here, an hour there. One of you is definitely not going to sleep. And then you have to work. So you have to make sure that you continue your life and you're productive without sleep. Your diet is going to change unless somebody is making sure that you're cooking every day and you have your food. So you're going to eat whatever. That's not going to help you. And definitely the sex life. You're not going to watch TV till 10 o'clock at night anymore. You're going to be exhausted or you're going to be on the baby schedule in a way, especially in the beginning because you don't know. You may get super lucky and get a baby that sleeps 4 to 5 hours straight, but that's not the case. And when you are physically and mentally exhausted, sex is kind of like, what the fuck ever.
Because it's a mental thing with women, right?
It's physical too. Because, well, it's very physical. Right after they have, so there are two parts. Right after they have the baby, and then like after 6 months to a year when they have the baby. So the first part is physical because our hormones are out of control after birth. And not the same as our hormones are out of control when we are pregnant, right? Because our body's preparing. Now our body's trying to go back to normality and you are sweating in the middle of the night for no reason. You are crying for no reason. You have such high level of anxiety that your baby may not be doing okay while they're sleeping perfectly fine. So you're kind of like waking up in panic. You're hearing voices, like you're into your mother mode, right? Like nature made sure that your instincts are so heightened, even when you're sleeping, like one eye is open, one ear is open the entire time, because now you're the hawk. If there is a, from the baby, you're up. So hormonally, physically, you're exhausted. You're also breastfeeding. One example. You're breastfeeding your baby. You gave them a bath. You breastfed. You're putting them to bed. As soon as you put them to bed, you go take a shower, and then you go to bed, and now your husband wants to suck on your nipples. How do you separate that? That feeling when you had your baby on your boob, it's a completely different feeling than when you have your husband sucking on your nipples.
I never thought of it like that.
You have to completely get out of your mother mode and that intense emotion that you have with your infant, and now you're into the sex freak. Fuck yeah, let's do this. No, and it's not a rejection, but you have to understand that we are not used to this, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Because we do want to feel like women again. We don't want to feel like just mothers, of course. But it's like that period of like first 2 months, 3 months that it's a little off. And we're tired. We just really want to sleep. Like if you could just take care of the baby for a couple hours while we sleep, like that's like a major orgasm for us. Major. Yeah. We'll love you forever.
Okay. And I think like you were saying about the sex part, maybe that's why guys, again, I'm not a dad, maybe that's why a lot of guys feel neglected because, like you said, the sex is not there as much. So it's another...
It's the attention, too.
Yeah.
She spends a lot of time with you. She babies you. She cuddles with you. She makes sure she cuts your hair, let's say, like that's something that you two do. Or she gives you facials, or you're doing a lot of outdoor activities together. And you're like... so cute, so adorable, and you do everything together, and she cooks for you, and she asks you, baby, what do you want to drink? What do you want to eat? And then she doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
The interaction is, can you check on the baby? Did you change a diaper? Did you throw the trash? Did you bring this? Did you buy the milk? Oh my God, you forgot this. I told you 3 times. Then you become the helper. But that's where you come in as a provider.
Yeah.
You're finally doing your purpose as a provider. You're providing her with what she needs to raise your family. Can't be any more complicated than that.
Yeah, and I guess, that's probably the hard part as well, is realizing the dynamics has changed to where, as the provider, you're providing for your wife, into now you're providing for your wife, and then this baby that can't provide for itself, even if it wanted to.
Useless completely.
Yeah. And so, I think that's why you just have to find someone that you communicate with very well, and that you can see as a mother, because like you were saying, just being a part of this new family now, it's not just you and her, it's you, her, and the best way to raise this child that is pretty much blank. Like you're the one filling this thing with information.
Yeah, you have the power to fuck that kid up, or like you have. It's a huge responsibility. But then again, people sometimes make it to be so much bigger than all of us have had some type of childhood, right?
Yeah.
And we can't blame our parents 100%. They did what they knew. They did what they knew. They didn't intentionally try to hurt us or scar us or traumatize us. They were raised a certain way. They thought they were doing it better than their parents. They still failed because they weren't aware of their own traumas. So they kind of passed it on, and they did certain things because parents are humans. They're not gods. Like, I am 44 years old. I still don't know if I'm doing it right. And I still have my own personal desires, my own personal things that I haven't fulfilled yet in my life. So I'm not just a mother. I'm a human, and I will make mistakes at some point. So parents do that. But the thing is that when you decide to have a family, you don't give up your life, who you are. But you have to make sure that you're involved.
Yeah.
You have to. You're somebody very important right now to all of them. If your wife needed you before, now she needs you 10 times more. And not just needs you to cook for her or spoil her or take her out to dinner or do anything romantic, but to come home, to walk in because she's been trying to do something all day and something isn't working and it's frustrating. Or she heard on the news that these kids are being kidnapped from the neighborhoods and she's been stressing all day. And then as soon as you come in, she's like, relieved, you're home, I'm safe, you know? And that's what it was. When your partner is not present, then you feel that you're on your own. And there is nothing worse than feeling that you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Or if your kid is sick, you have to take them to the ER. That was the worst for me. If I was in the ER and my husband couldn't be there because he was working. What I was going through, it was really, really hard to see your daughter with like an open forehead that needed 15 stitches, etc. It was hard. I wanted to cry, I wanted to scream, but then I had to be strong at the same time, you know, because she needed somebody to be strong for her.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that you just, you know, you just need your partner there. Just like we need friends when we go through something or whatever. But one thing, though, I read a long time ago, and this kind of stuck with me. It said, men spend all of their lives building an empire, and that is their only goal, building an empire. And women spend their whole lives building connections. At the end of life, men don't have anything else to achieve. They don't feel any other type of responsibility. They have built their empire and now they just enjoy the empire. And that usually happens like they retire, they go golfing, fishing, buy a new car, doing something in the backyard, you know, like, and they're if you look at older men, they're passive, like laid back, they don't care. They gain weight. They don't give a shit how they look. But at the same time, they're grumpy. You know, like they're kind of like bitter, grumpy. The older they get, like they get annoyed. Like, don't make noise. Don't bring the kids here. Don't do this. Where are you going? So when I was reading this book, it said that because they're focused on building their empire, they are left empty and lonely at the end of their lives. So for men that never married and never had the family, they don't have anything that reminds them how important that empire was.
Yeah.
It comes to a point where it's like empty. Women are good. Women continue on even towards the end of their life because they're always useful. They become grandmothers, they take care of the grandkids. Grandpas are not as involved as grandmothers, right? And they're kind of left out, like you always see like they don't care about anybody anymore. They're just smoking their cigar, doing their own thing, not caring. But that's because their purpose was that. And sometimes men forget that, yes, your purpose is that because it makes you feel good about yourself as a man that you're successful. But successful is not just building your empire.
Yeah, I've never looked at it that way. That's an interesting way to look
And
at it.
I can't remember. It was an old book, and I think it was. I think it was something that it was translated in English. I'm not sure who the author is, but it really went into details about the differences between men and women, but throughout different stages of their lives. That's why it says that a man that has never been emotionally fulfilled in his life, when he retires, they usually have a heart attack like 5 years after they retire because they don't have a purpose anymore.
And I do get like, because I definitely want to build my empire for sure. Like that's part of like making money,
Yeah.
having the house, having the car, and all that. And I think, part of the building blocks of all that was this confidence part, and me building my confidence. And part of building that confidence, frankly, is interacting with women. And to me, I knew that I was, confident when I could walk up to any woman and have a conversation with her, no matter what she looked, what she did. I was just like, it doesn't matter to me. So
Yeah.
I never, past the age of probably 28, 29, like there was never a time where I was talking to somebody that I was like, okay, this person is out of my league. Like, and I had talked to like top musicians, I've talked to athletes, there was never a time where I was like, okay, this person's out of my league.
Yeah, like they're too good.
Yeah. And so that's why, building this empire, you need this confidence. And, talking to women can be intimidating. It is intimidating, 100%. And so that's how you kind of build your confidence. And a lot of guys never shoot their shot. And it's very easy to say, but, part of building that confidence is the one being like, no, but when you get that yes, whew, it's nice.
It's because you get so used to the no that the yes is. But at the end of the day, we're just people. We're just people. And it can't be that intimidating, right? Because no matter who you meet at first glance, they're always going to show their best side. But we all have our own, insecurities and imperfections and flaws. And I mean, we're all fucked up in our own ways.
And that's why you gotta find the person with the flaws that matches your flaws.
Yeah, well, the demons play well together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in a healthy way, because there's some demons that, God, yeah. But we're not that different. And as long as we just play well together, I guess the key, I would say, is to be understanding that we all have needs from each other, but which ones do we prioritize? Do we prioritize our own selfish needs, or do we prioritize what's needed for us to still be together?
Yeah, and I will say part of getting to that point is building, again, that confidence. So like that's part, and I don't know, and this is going to sound bad, but I think part of building your confidence as the guy and validating yourself is sleeping with different women. Because
why would you say sleeping with different women? It's an act. How does that validate you as a person, as in your success as a man?
There's a lot of pressure on guys to have sex. Like guys talk about it a lot. I mean, a lot of guys watch porn. And
but guys, I mean, yes, okay, sex is important, but sex doesn't identify you.
I agree. But part of like being able to sleep with someone is you are able to communicate with them. You obviously were able to get the point to the point.
Well, the sexual selection, right? I mean, it's natural. That's how it's always been. Even with animals, it's the same thing. You have to show a level of confidence in order to get the mate.
And I want to be clear, I am not condoning men just sleeping with women for the sake of it. If you're going to have sex with a woman, make it very clear that, hey, whatever it is, I'm interested in you, let's date, I want to have sex, blah, blah, blah. Or if it's just I want to have a one-night stand, I always communicated this with everyone I was with. So you can't just sleep with someone just to sleep with someone.
Right. How many times have you told a woman that, look, I just want to hit it tonight, but I'm not going to call you tomorrow, and she still says yes?
Oh, I never was like, I'm not going to call you tomorrow.
But meaning, I'm just looking for a one-night stand.
I mean, 90% of the time, I was very clear, like, hey.
And they were okay with it.
Yeah.
So you still got a yes.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to lie about it or pretend that you were into them or anything.
Like you said, women like to have sex too. I mean,
exactly. But, it's these games, these things that...
I'll say this, women prefer it when you're up front.
Absolutely.
Whenever you're
100%.
Like, hey, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. If you want to go back to my place, and mess around, I'm happy. I enjoy this conversation. We go back to my place, have a drink, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that connection. So you don't devalue them. It's just you're great, but like connection.
I'm attracted to you, and I'm physically attracted. I don't see this going any further.
Let's fuck
for many reasons. Like I'm not ready. Or I'm not looking for a relationship, or I'm not financially ready to be in anything more committed, or I'm just fucked up in the head. This is where I'm at right now. It's so much better to be upfront, because one thing is, if I sleep with you, you're not taking away a part of my body, okay? You're not taking anything away from me. We had a good time, and that's all there is to it. But if I get emotionally attached with you, then you are taking something away from me. And that is my mental health.
And that's why, like, to me, what I was always most scared of the most, whether it was a casual, actual relationship, was I never wanted a woman to walk away and be like, "Damn, I wish I didn't do that," or "I can't. I wish I didn't spend that time." I never wanted to be a
women don't
woman's
regret having sex with somebody unless he was horrible, like just really, really bad, and they're like, "I should have never done this. Like, this has to be a scratch because this is awful." Or if he turned out to be a complete, liar, cheater, whatever it was, like a complete different person than what he portrayed to be. But women will never be like, I wish I hadn't done this, unless it was that bad.
Yeah.
It's just like you, it's an experience. And I know that we put a lot of women should not have sex with multiple people. It's devaluing yourself. Is this and that? No, it's not devaluing yourself, because you are, as long as you are fully aware of who you are, what your values are, and who you look to be in life and who you're looking for in a partner, being with somebody that you have a great time with, even if that's like a week, or whatever, it doesn't change who you are. But if women go for validation, that's a different story. If they sleep with guys so guys can validate them as hot or sexy or good enough, that's a problem, because you are giving yourself just to get some type of confirmation that you're good enough. And that's not confidence. That's how women lose confidence in themselves, because they're being used to boost somebody else's. So it's like a whole mental shit show that can go on, and it can last forever. Like, there are women that just cannot get out of that cycle for a very long time. And it's very, very damaging.
Yeah, you should never want to try and validate yourself through your looks.
No.
There's other ways to validate yourself.
No, looks change.
Was there anything that in your relationships where you were like, did you have any fears in your, like, for me was being someone's regret. Did you have any?
My biggest fear in a relationship?
Yeah.
My biggest fear is that I would end up. Okay, so when I think relationship, I'm like old fashioned. Even when I think relationship and marriage, I don't think right now, right? And I don't think next week or the next vacation or whatever it is. I think 75-80. Don't ask me why. When I think marriage, that's where it goes. 75-80. Because that's a successful marriage. If I make it with you at that age, and I wake up in the morning and I make coffee, and I remember to make your coffee, and not out of habit, but because I enjoy it, and I can sit outside with you and have that coffee and still have something to talk with you about and laugh, that's amazing. That is success for me. And if you notice, I didn't mention our house was beautiful, our patio was like 30 feet, or our boat was outside. None of that. Just the fact that you can be with somebody at that time when everything is done and over pretty much. It's not like, you're really seeking anything else but contentment and health. My biggest fear is to be alone. For my partner to not want to be with me at that time, and still look for personal fulfillment through sex or whatever else. So I was at a bar the other night, and on one side of the bar, there were men probably late 40s, early 60s, like a group of guys who were all together, drinking, quiet. You could see it, that they were kind of like, yeah, tired of it all, right? And on the other side, like, you had couples, older couples, and they were dancing, they were laughing, they were talking. And I just couldn't help it. Like, I was looking at both. I was looking at the difference. I was like, holy shit, man, like, what decisions did you make to be sitting here at 60 at a bar alone and just you're not enjoying anything right now.
Yeah.
So are you happy? Is this what you wanted to do with your life? How many women did you sleep with? That's great. Where are they? You know? So like a big difference, like when you have that successful relationship and when you're alone. And that's the biggest thing. I don't want to be there.
Feel you.
So I don't want to end up with the wrong person, so I don't get there. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And if you want to look through these lists of questions, see if there's any others that you want to answer, I will say part of producing this, and this was a little bit my fault, was trying to make sure that we have like a smooth flow for all of this.
Yeah.
And, our last question is...
what would you tolerate?
And, what would you tolerate in a marriage that you wouldn't do in a regular relationship? And the reason why I brought up, the organization is we should have put this in earlier. So this is like me kind of live saying like, hey, this isn't easy and it requires a lot of work. And that's part of like this marriage part is a lot of work. And so, what are some things that I would not put up with in a relationship that I would in a marriage? In a relationship, at the beginning especially, is, someone that's not giving me their all. Someone that's not, I don't mean spending all their time with me, but when you're with me, giving me the time of day. Whereas, whenever you're married, that person has put in the time, so when they're doing their own thing, like, just a little acknowledgement of, hey, I love you, just, a simple touch. You don't have to have that constant, going on. So, to me, the things that I would tolerate in a marriage, I wouldn't have married that person if there was something that I couldn't tolerate. So, to me, I don't think you, at least for me, if you properly do it, you wouldn't get to the marriage part, and then there are things that you would not tolerate. Like, you should have realized that early. If you were properly vetting the person and talking to the person, you wouldn't get to that point.
But there are points. And you cannot prevent that because people change.
And that goes back to the communication part. Communicating your needs and why these things don't work for you and just working through it. And, it's really hard for me to say things I would tolerate in a relationship and not in a marriage because I don't know if there's much more that I would tolerate in the marriage part of it that I would in a relationship. I would not have, if something were to come up, the person I'm married to, I know we could talk about it. So there's nothing that I would tolerate now that I wouldn't tolerate before.
So if you're in a relationship and you're doing laundry and your wife screams at you that you did it wrong, your wife, your girlfriend, would you be like, what the fuck? And then you're married and she screams at you, would you be what the fuck again? Or would you just be like kind of,
I knew that's who she was going into it. So if that was an issue before and I didn't talk to her about it, I was able to marry the person. It's just like, okay, this is that's what I mean. It's like, these are things you should know going into it. And if that's going to be a deal breaker, you shouldn't marry the person in the first place.
Right. Sometimes people, and you're right, I agree with that, because people think once you get married, then it will change. They will be better. Or no, they will not. They will be the exact same person. It could be worse because now they're a little more, not really like that goal to achieve. But they're always going to be the same person. But what is something that you would tolerate? Like, let's say you meet a woman, you're in love with her, and she does something that if you were with a woman that you were not in love with, you would not tolerate it. Like, does love make people treat two people differently?
I mean, for sure. And I can't think of an example off the top of my head. I mean, for sure, there are things like when I have loved someone, I'm more patient. I'm more, unless it sincerely bothers me, I'm just like put it to the side. But if I just like someone and they're doing something, I'll be a little bit more quick to be like, you know what, I don't love this. I don't hate it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way. Like I'll just give this example. Like some people they will send one big block of text, and some people will just send a bunch of little text to people.
I am the little text.
It drives me crazy when people send a little text. So if someone's, and this is just a very minor example, but if I'm with someone and they're doing that, I'm just like, I mean,
why? This is how people are thinking, right? Like you have the paragraph people, they're thinking all at once of everything. Especially when it's fast, like they're not taking forever to compile that text. The people that send the short things, they're texting as their thoughts are coming in. So I would say that they're more impulsive. Like he tells you that they're more impulsive, not really thinking through. And then you have the thinking through. And I've seen that. When I've talked to people, even on the dating app, you have the people that send you a paragraph, right? And then you're like, burp. And then you thought of something else in that second. You're like, oh, burp. I don't know why I sounded like a bird right now.
Yeah, that was a little odd. But, I mean, that's just, I guess, a more serious example is someone that can't handle their alcohol. Like, if someone gets belligerent,
hell.
I'll put up with that if I love someone, because it's just like, okay, I love this person, it's kind of funny, blah, blah, blah. But if I just like the person that get belligerent, I'm just like, so I guess that's the one I can think of off the top of my head.
Absolutely. Well, I think we covered all the questions, right?
I think we have as well.
That's awesome. Well,
thanks for submitting the questions, everyone. As you get more, feel free to ask.
Yes, we would love to talk about your topics. And we'll see you on the next one.
Ciao.